Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. It's really great to be back with you all again. I've had some chicken noodle soup this morning, homemade, and hoping that all these wonderful vibrations are just going to be what's needed for the day. We'll also be listening to the Kavacha of the Devi and an extract from a talk given in 1983 called Heart, the Chakra of the Goddess. But first, let's humbly bow down in front of Shri Mataji, raise our Kundalini and put ourselves into Bandhan.
श्री निर्मला देवी नमो नमः। त्वमेव साक्षात् श्री गणेश साक्षात् श्री आदिशक्ति माताजी श्री निर्मला देवी नमो नमः। अथ देव्या कवचम् अस्य श्रीचण्डी कवचस्य ब्रह्मा ऋषिः अनुष्टुप्छन्दः चामुण्डदेवता अङ्गन्यासोक्तमातरो बीजम् दिग्बन्धदेवतास्तत्त्वम् श्रीजगदम्बा प्रीत्यर्थम् सप्तशती पाठाङ्गत्वेन जपे विनियोगः। नमश्चण्डिकायै मार्कण्डेय उवाच ॐ यद्गुह्यं परमं लोके सर्वरक्षाकरं नृणाम् यन्न कस्यचिदाख्यातं तन्मे ब्रूहि पितामहः। ब्रह्मोवाच अस्ति गुह्यतमं विप्र सर्वभूतोपकारकम् देव्यास्तु कवचं पुण्यम् तश्नुष्व महामुने। प्रथमं शैलपुत्री च द्वितीयं ब्रह्मचारिणी तृतीयं चन्द्रघण्टेति कुष्माण्डेति चतुर्थकं पञ्चमं स्कन्दमातेति षष्ठं कात्यायनीति च सप्तमं कालरात्रीति महागौरीति चाष्टमं नवमं सिद्धिदात्री च नवदुर्गा प्रकीर्तिता। उत्कानि तानि नामानि ब्रह्मणैव महात्मना अग्निना दह्यमानस्तु शत्रुमध्ये गतोरणे विषमे दुर्गमे चैव भयार्ता शरणं गता। रक्षे कुक्षो रक्षे कुलेश्वरी स्तनौ रक्षे महादेवी मनशोकविनाशिनी हृदये ललिता देवी उदरे शूलधारिणी नाभौ च कामिनी रक्षे गुह्यं गुह्येश्वरी तथा पूतना कामिकामेणु उदे महिषवाहिनी कट्यां भगवती रक्षे ज्ञानोनि विन्ध्यवासिनी जङ्गी महाबला रक्षे सर्वकामप्रदायिनी उल्पर्योनासिनी च पादपुष्पे तु तेजसे पादाङ्गुलीषु श्रीरक्षे पादाधस्थलवासिनी नखान्दंष्ट्राकराली च केशां च ऊर्ध्वकेशिनी रोमकूपीषु कौमारे त्वचं वागीश्वरी तथा रक्तमज्जावसामासा न्यस्तिमेधासि पार्वती मन्त्राणि कालरात्रिश्च वित्तं च मुकुटेश्वरी पद्मावती पद्मकोशे कफे चूडामणिस्तथा ज्वालामुखी नखज्वाला अभेद्या सर्वसन्धिषु शुक्रं ब्रह्माणि मे रक्षे छाया छत्रेश्वरी तथा अहङ्कारं मनोबुद्धिं रक्षन् मे धर्मधारिणी प्राणात्मानं तथा व्यानं मुदानं च समानकं वज्रस्ता च मे रक्षे प्राणं कल्याणशोभना रसे रूपे च गन्धे च शब्दे स्पर्शे च योगिनी सत्त्वं रजस्तमश्चैव रक्षे नारायणी सदा आयुरक्षतु वाराहि धर्म रक्षतु वैष्णवी यशं कीर्तिं च लक्ष्मीं च धनं विद्यां च चक्रे पुत्रं इन्द्राणि मे रक्षे पशून् मे रक्ष चण्डिके पुत्रान् रक्षे महालक्ष्मी भार्या रक्षतु भैरवी अन्धान् सुपथा रक्षे मार्गक्षे मकरी तथा राजद्वारे महालक्ष्मी विजया सर्वदा स्थिता रक्षाहिनं तु यत्स्थानं वर्जितं कवचेन तत्सर्वं रक्ष मे देवी जयन्ती पापनाशिनी पदमेकं न गच्छेत् यदि चेत् शुभमात्मना कवचेनावृतो नित्यं यत्र यत्रैव गच्छति तत्र तत्रार्थलाभाश्च विजया सर्वकामिका यं यं चिन्तयते कामं तं तं प्राप्नोति निश्चितं परमेश्वरम् अतुलं प्राप्त्यसे भूतले पुमान् निर्भयो जायते मर्त्यः सङ्ग्रामेष्वपराजिता त्रैलोक्ये तु भवे पूज्या कवचेनावृता पुमान् इदं तु देव्या कवचं देवानामपि दुर्लभं यः पठे प्रयतो नित्यं त्रिसन्न्यासश्रद्धयान्विता दैवी कला भवेस्तस्य त्रैलोक्येष्वपराजिता जीवेत्वर्षशतं साग्रं अपमृत्युं विवर्जिता नश्यन्ति व्याधयः सर्वे दूता विस्फोटकादयः स्थावरं जङ्गमं चैव ग्रहभूतपिशाचाश्च यक्षगन्धर्वराक्षसः ब्रह्मराक्षसवेताल कुष्माण्डभैरवादय नश्यन्ति दर्शनातस्य कवचे हृदि संस्थिते मानोन्नतिर्भवेद्राज्ञ तेजो वृद्धिकरं परं यशसा वर्धते सोऽपि कीर्तिमण्डितभूतले जपेक्षब्दशतीं चण्डीं कृत्वा तुं कवचं पुरां यावृत्मण्डलं दत्ते सशैलवनकाननं तावत्तिष्ठति मेदिन्या सन्तति पुत्रपौत्रिकी देहान्ते परमं स्थानं यत्सुरैरपि दुर्लभं प्राप्नोति पुरुषो नित्यं महामाया प्रसादता लभते परमं रूपं शिवेन सह मोदते इति देव्या कवचं सम्पूर्णम् साक्षात् श्री आदिशक्ति माताजी श्री निर्मला देव्यै नमो नमः।
I'll just sit quietly for a few minutes before the talk.
by various emotional problems in human beings. Husband and wife, if they all the time quarrel, there's always quarreling in the house. Especially if the mother is very dominating, the child develops this center. And if the father is very dominating, the child develops the heart itself. So it is very important that husband and wife should never quarrel in the presence of their child. Now there resides in this center the incarnation of the goddess who came on this earth thousands of times, and she resides there for your protection. But first of all, you have to be worthy of her protection. When she came on this earth, many a times, her body was made by various forces, as if she was like a bubble, and the bubble was covered by so many things added on to that. And that's how she got lots of things from various gods. Like her hair she got from Yama, the god of death. Her nose she got from the god of wealth, Kubera. And her ear she got from the pavana, that is air. Like that, her body was made specially by the essences of these great deities who donated their essences to the goddess to be equipped to do these multifarious activities. Now the first activity, as I told you, of the goddess is to save her children from the negative forces. So she looks extremely mild, sweet, but she can be extremely violent, in the sense she can kill or crush anyone who tries to overpower her children. Ati Saumya, Ati Raudra. These two temperaments exist only in the goddess, because she is the mother, and at any cost she wants to save her child. Also towards her child, when he goes beyond a point of understanding, when he shows no sense of discipline, then also goddess can pull him down by certain methods that she adopts. Now first of all is that she gives all that is needed to remove the fear from the mind of sadhakas. Secondly, she cures the center by giving birth to additional antibodies in the body, and by vibrating the tired antibodies to act in a way that they can fight back again. Even in day-to-day life, she may establish her existence by showing lots of miracles to her children. We had a lady coming to see me, and she was rather late. And when she came back, I asked her what was the problem. She said, no, there was no problem, but my bus fell down about 20-30 feet down, and the thing rolled down and fell on the ground with all the four legs intact. And all of us in the bus were saved. But the driver got upset and he ran away. So somebody who was in the car, who knew how to drive, came down and he switched on the car, and the car started moving. And we came back then to Bombay. So on the way they started asking, there must be some saint sitting here. Otherwise, how can we be protected? Only a saint can protect us like this. She was wearing my ring. Oh, they said, this is Mataji's disciple. They all started falling at her feet, saying, oh, you have saved us, you have saved us. So there are many miracles that take place in your life. When you see an accident taking place, suddenly you find the accident is over. There was one fellow who was a journalist called Marathi. He and his friend, another journalist, were coming from Lonavala down. And it's a very big, slopy road, ghat, and their brakes fell. And the driver said, now the brakes are failed and you take God's name. And they started remembering their mother. And suddenly they saw a big truck coming ahead. They were about to bang onto that. They closed their eyes. And God knows what happened. They opened the eyes and saw the truck was going upward and they were moving forward without any difficulties. And they were amazed how it has happened, as if somebody has lifted their car and put before the truck and they have been saved. And the driver also closed his eyes and took the name of the mother. It is possible. It has happened with so many people that they do not know how it works out. So one has to believe that we have the mother within ourselves, in our heart. And if she is awakened, she is going to look after us. She is going to give all the protection that is needed. And there is nothing to be frightened of anything. But you can imagine, as Patrick has said clearly, that they were quite frightened. And I know they are. Even English language is like that. All the time they will say, I am afraid, I have to go. What is there to be afraid if you have to go? You better go. I am afraid if I am doing, they are all the time jittery like that. And so jittery, and when they talk, they are so frightened that sometimes you feel nervous with them, that you don't know how to approach them the way they are nervous. And one of the reasons why they are nervous is that because they plan too much, think too much, analyze too much, and then ego settles down into their brains and ultimately covers the heart. Because their ego covers their heart, they get a fright. Actually, it so happens that if you become ego-oriented, you start seeing yourself through. Because when you are at a level, you can even see your ego very clearly. And then you get frightened of other people because you think they too also must be having the same type of ego, and you are really frightened of it. It is very common also in the East. Now in India, I should say that supposing you have to go to a government office, be careful. Anybody, even a chaprasi can shout at you for nothing at all. They develop a system of barking all the time, just one barking. The reason is they bark at you because they themselves are insecure. A chaprasi is insecure of his boss is insecure of his boss is insecure of his boss. Ultimately the minister is afraid of the voters, and the voters are afraid of the minister. It's such a vicious circle. So the whole system works out into such a terrible insecurity that you don't understand what is there to bark at, what is there to shout at. And then a kind of a identification with the falsehood is built up so much that you are no more a human being. You are either a secretary, or you are an undersecretary, or a joint secretary. I don't know who is higher, who is lower. And then you have some other secretaries, and then you have clerks and this and that, and you are that. You are nothing else but that. So, because you are that, you must have these horns, and you must shout at people, otherwise nobody is going to believe that you are something. So it is such an identification that develops into human beings. That too because of this heart not being developed properly. Because if your heart is developed properly, then you are a human being, because you know your mother has given you the birth, and you are a human being. There's no need to have any fear from another human being who is also a child of your mother. So there has to be no fear about it. But the trouble is that when human beings start wearing anything, supposing they wear a suit, immediately they start speaking in English. As soon as they wear pajamas, they start speaking in Hindi language, or say dhoti Hindi language, and pajamas, they might start giving galis. So it is a kind of a very superficial identification human beings develop because there is no depth in the heart. If they had that depth, that mooring in the heart, then they would not develop these superficial things, and as a result of that they are frightened. Because they know they are superficial, others are superficial, they have got beard, we have got beard. So therefore, if I am going to pull his beard, he might pull my beard as well. Such a fear exists among human beings. And then another thing, another steps come into the minds of the people, that why not pull his legs to go up? This is the third category of debasement. If you are the child of the same mother, how can you go higher than anybody else? You will remain always the child of the mother. How can you go higher than any other child in the eyes of mother? You cannot. On the contrary, if you try to do such tricks, the mother will punish you. And this is the second thing that mother does, is to punish her children. Yes, she punishes. In very sweet ways, first of all. For example, if the child is not eating and troubling, she said, all right, you don't want to eat, all right, don't eat today. That's a very simple way of punishing children. But then she says, all right, you want to have the way you want to have, go ahead. Like, I tell them not to do such thing, it's not good. For example, I told them that don't take the flats just from the beginning and let all the Sahajogis stay with other Sahajogis. But the organizers thought it better to take the flats, whatever may be the reason, because they are very wise organizers. But you see, Mother says something very simple, but it has a meaning, one must know. And they arranged it that way. So, half of the people just protested that no, we are going to stay with some Sahajogis, we want to be with them, so they were accommodated. The others were British, nowadays are on the other side of the mood. They are very, very tolerant. And they said, all right, if we are not arranged, we'll stay in the flats. So they stayed in the flats. But what happened? It rained and rained and rained and rained, and they could not arrange their food even under the roof they had built. So they had to shift all of them to other places, and all of them had to stay with other Sahajogis as told by Mother. If they had listened to the Mother, they would have saved some money, as well as they would have saved some trouble, and there would have been no problem at all. That's how little tricks here and there are played by Mother just to convince the children that you have been stupid.
Just stop that there. Go into a silent meditation. Mother, please come in my heart. Let me clean my heart so that you are there. Put your feet into my heart. Let your feet be worshipped in my heart. Let me not be in delusion. Take me away from illusions. Keep me in reality. Take away the sheen of superficiality. Let me enjoy your feet in my heart. Let me see your feet in my heart. We'll say the last verse of the three great mantras. Om Tvameva Sakshat Shri Kalki Sakshat Shri Sahasra Swamini Moksha Pradayini Mataji Shri Nirmala Devi Namo Namaha. Thank you all so much for joining this morning and sharing your beautiful vibrations. When you're ready to finish your meditation, please bow down in front of Shri Mataji, raise your Kundalini and put yourself into Bandhan. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Jai Shri Mataji.